The slash is a sign used as a punctuation mark and for various other purposes. It is often called a forward slash, a retronym used to distinguish it from the backslash. It has many other names. History: the slash goes back to the days of ancient Rome. In the early modern period, in the fractal script, which was widespread through Europe in the Middle Ages, one slash represented a comma, while two slashes represented a dash. The two slashes eventually evolved into a sign similar to the equal sign, then being further simplified to a single dash. Usage: in English text, the slash is most commonly used as the word substitute for or, which indicates a choice is present. The slash is also used to avoid taking a position in a naming controversy, allowing the juxtaposition of both names without stating a preference. An example is the designation Assyrian Syriac in the official U.S. Census, reflecting the Syriac naming dispute. The Swedish census has come to a similar solution, using Assyrier to refer to the same ethnic group. Another use of the slash is to replace the hyphen or end dash to make a clear, strong joint between words or phrases, such as the Hemingway-Faulkner generation. The slash is also used to indicate a line break when quoting multiple lines from a poem, play, or headline. Or in an ordinary prose quotation, the start of a new paragraph. In this case, a space is placed before and after the slash. For example, love alters not with his brief hours and weeks / but bears it out even to the edge of doom. When used this way, the mark is called a virgule. It is thinner than a solidusif typeset. There are usually no spaces either before or after a slash, male-female. Exceptions are in representing the start of a new line when quoting verse, or a new paragraph when quoting prose. The Chicago Manual of Style also allows spaces when either of the separated items is a compound that itself includes a space, our New Zealand/Western Australia trip. The Canadian Style, a guide to writing and editing, prescribes no space before or after an oblique when used between individual words, letters or symbols. One space before and after the oblique when used between longer groups which contain internal spacing, giving the examples NA, and language and society /langue socia copyright tar copyright. Emoji: multiple forward slashes in succession are used as emoji by Japanese Internet users to convey shyness or embarrassment, often placed at the end of a statement. Abbreviations: the slash is often used to separate the letters in a two-letter initialism such as RC or with O. Other examples include BW, with E, IO, RW and even a one-letter initialism with. British English in particular makes use of the slash instead of the hyphen in forming abbreviations. Many examples are found in writings during the Second World War. For example, SE means single-engined, as a quick way of writing a type of aircraft. In the U.S. government, office names are abbreviated using slashes, starting with the larger office and following with its subdivisions. In the State Department, the Office of Commercial and Business Affairs and the Bureau for Economic, Energy and Business Affairs is referred to as EEBCBA. Proofreading: when highlighting corrections on a proofreader will write what he or she thinks should be changed €, or why it should be changed €, in the margin. They separate the comments with a slash called a separatrix. When marking an uppercase letter for conversion to lowercase, a proofreader will put a slash through it and write LC or LC in the margin. Arithmetic: used between numbers / means division, and in this sense the symbol may be read aloud as over. For sets, it usually means modulo. Proper typography requires a more horizontal line in the numbers rendered using superscript and subscript, for example €A123 or 456 €. Currency exchange rate notation uses slash in this manner. For example, the exchange rate for the euro and US dollars is quoted as EUR/USDX, which means the value of a euro divided by the value of a US dollar is X. Currency: the solidus or a shilling mark is a punctuation mark used to separate base units of currency and subunits. The solidus is significantly more horizontal than the slash. Before the decimalization of currency in the United Kingdom and Commonwealth of Nations, currency sums in pounds, shillings, and pence were abbreviated using the A pound symbol, the S symbol, and the D symbol referring to the Roman libra, solidus, and denarius. The S was at one stage written using a long S, angstrom, that was further abbreviated to the A symbol, and the D was suppressed. Thus, a £1 in 1911 D meant £1, 19 shillings and 11 pence, 2 a 6 meant 2 shillings and 6 pence, and 5 a meant 5 shillings. This usage led to the names solidus and shilling mark for this character. The format was then adopted to denote amounts in other currencies, such as those in the pre-decimalization Indian rupee and Pi currency system. In decimalized currency, a solidus followed by a dash is used at the conclusion of the currency amount if subunits are not included. For example, on a handwritten invoice, one may write $50 to denote the end of the currency amount. This keeps anybody from adding further digits to the end of the number. Bowling, A/ denotes a spare, knocking down all 10 pins in 2 throws, when scoring 10-pin bowling, and duck-pin bowling. Computing, encoding, in Unicode and ASCII, the slash is encoded as U+002F/solidus. In contradiction to the precedent of long-established typesetting terminology, the ISO and the Unicode Consortium both name this character solidus. Despite amendments to the character metadata for fraction slash, this contradiction is likely to persist, as the Unicode Consortium clearly states. A euro once a character is encoded, its name will not be changed to euro. Usually the character considered a true solidus is U+2044 a fraction slash. Unicode standards also intend this character to specifically indicate a fraction, and to flag the rendering engine to realize the numbers as vulgar fractions if possible. For example, so that 1 or 2 can be rendered similar to the single character or 1/2. In addition there is U+2215 a division slash which does not have this typographical effect. Since few fonts and text layout systems have the proper mappings to implement this, fraction slash is often realized identical to division slash. The fraction slash is found in the Mac Roman character set used on legacy Apple Macintosh computers. It can be typed on a Macintosh computer by pressing or yen option plus a section shift +1. The fraction slash can be typed on Microsoft Windows as Alt plus 8260 and the division slash as Alt plus 8725. Files. On Unix-like systems the slash is the path component separator and also the volume root directory, pictures image JPG, John Pictures. The slash is sometimes called a / to contrast with the backslash, which is also used for the same purpose in DOS, Windows and OS/2 systems. Due to DOS and Windows users often seeing far more backslashes than normal ones, they sometimes incorrectly assume a backslash is normal and thus incorrectly call a slash a backslash, or felt they needed to say / to ensure the correct one was understood. With the increased visibility of slash in Internet URLs and increased use of Unix systems, slashes have again become more common for most computer users. Networking. Slashes are used in URLs in a way similar to the separator in file systems, httpn wikipedia.org/, punctuation, the slash in an IP address, such as 192.0.2.0/24, denotes CID annotation. Chat. Many Internet Relay Chat and in-game chat clients use the slash to distinguish commands, such as the ability to join or part a chat room or send a private message to a certain user. The slash has also been used in many chat mediums as a way of expressing an action or statement in the likeness of a command. /join services to join channel services, /me sings a song about birds often also a command to say username sings a song about birds, rather than, username sings a song about birds, /endrant to signify the end of a rant, /sa to denote the previous text sarcastic. The slash is used as a reply on instant messages representing OK, or check, or got it, and also implying thanks. In Second Life chat the slash is used to select the communications channel allowing users to direct commands to various virtual objects listening on different channels. Programming. In most programming languages, slash is used as a division operator. Regs uses as a modulo operator. starting with version 2.2, Python uses for integer division, rounding down. MATLAB and GNU-Octave also have the slash to indicate an element-by-element division of matrices. Comments that begin with slash and end with slash were introduced in PLI and subsequently adopted by SAS, C, Regs, C++, Java, JavaScript, PHP, CSS, and C. C99, C++, C, PHP, Java, and JavaScript also have comments that begin with and span a single line. In SGML and derived languages such as HTML and XML, a slash is used to indicate a closing tag. For example, in HTML, /m ends a section of emphasized text that had been started with M. Slashes are used as the standard delimiters for regular expressions, although other characters can be used instead. Slashes are sometimes used to show italics, when no special formatting is available. Example, /italic text / IBM JCL uses 2 slashes to start each line in a batch job stream. Windows, DOS, CP/M, OpenVMS, and OS/2 all use the slash to indicate command line options. For instance, the wide option is added to the dir command by typing dir w. Compatibility with this is why DOS added the / path separator, because otherwise one could not run a program in a different directory, since the program name always ended at the slash. Genealogy, the GEDCOM standard for exchanging computerized genealogical data, uses slashes to delimit surnames. Example, Bill Jr. slashes around surnames are also used in personal ancestral file. Dates, certain shorthand date formats use slash as a delimiter, for example 162,003 September 16, 2003. In the UK there used to be a specialised use in prose, 7/May 8 referred to the night which starts the evening of May 7 and ends the morning of May 8, totalling about 12 hours depending on the season. This was used to list night bombing air raids which would carry past midnight. Some police units in the USA use this notation for night disturbances or chases. Conversely, the form with an n-7 May 8 would refer to the 2-day period, at most 48 hours. This would commonly be used for meetings. ISO 8601 provides a standard method of expressing dates and times which resolves ambiguities caused by the different formats historically used by different countries. According to this norm, dates must be written year month day using hyphens, but time periods are written separated by a solidos, 1939-09-01/1945-05-08, for example, would be the duration of the Second World War in the European theatre, while 2010-09-03/12-22 might be used for the autumn term of a Northern Hemisphere school, from September 3 to December 22, both in 2010. Instead of the solidos in some applications a double hyphen is used, for example 1939-09-01, 1945-05-08, which would allow the use of the duration in file names. Fiction, for a specialized use of the slash in the classification of fan fiction stories, see /fiction. The slash has been used as the title of a novel by Greg Bear, /. The slant was added on to give people something to call the book, but it has ultimately become the accepted title in many book lists. The slash is also the symbol for a wand in NetHack. Library science, and cataloging, as prescribed by the Anglo-American cataloging rules, a slash is used to separate the title from the statement of responsibility. The slash is flanked by a single space on either side. This form may be seen on catalog cards as well as electronic catalogs, depending on how items are chosen to display. Examples, Gone with the Wind / by Margaret Mitchell. Star Trek II. The Wrath of Khan, video recording / Paramount Pictures. Linguistics, in linguistic notation for the transcription of speech, slashes are used to enclose phonemic values. Slashes specifically denote phonological transcription, in contrast with square brackets for phonetic transcription. Address, slashes are used in addresses of places. For example 8 Para Pushkar Society, to specify the 8th apartment in Building A of a multi-building residential complex named Pushkar Society. However, 8A or number 8A will mean section or wing A of apartment 8. In this sense, the slash stands for of. Numbering. Slashes are used to indicate the serial number of an article in a set of a finite number of articles. For example, page number 17/35 in a document indicates the 17th out of a total of 35 pages in a document book. Also, the marking number 333/500 on one of many packages indicates that the package so identified is 333rd out of 500 numbered packages. Slashes are used to separate a score from the maximum possible score. Thus, a score of 65/100ths in a mark list indicates scoring of 65 marks out of 100. Also, he scored 7/10 in German. In this sense, the slash stands for out of. Music. Slashes are used in music as an alternative to writing out specific notes where it is easier to read than traditional notation, or where the player can improvise. They are commonly used to indicate chords either in place of or in combination with traditional notation, and for drummers as an indication to continue with a previously indicated style. Physics. In quantum field theory, a slash through a symbol, such as a plus or minus yen, is shorthand for I cubed I1/4, where A is a covariant 4-vector, the I cubed I1/4 are the gamma matrices, and the repeated index I1/4 is summed over according to the Einstein notation. Other alternations with hyphen. Besides the varied usage with dates, the slash is used to indicate a range of serial numbers which have the hyphen already as part of their alphanumeric symbol set. The primary example is the U.S. Air Force serial numbers for aircraft. These are usually written, for example, as 85 to 1000, for the 1000th aircraft ordered in fiscal year 1985. To designate a series of serial numbers, the slash is used, as in 85 to 1001/1050 for the first 50 subsequent aircraft. Gender neutrality in Spanish and Portuguese. In Portuguese and Spanish, as well in other West Iberian languages, many feminine forms are very similar to the masculine ones, differing only by an extra dissonance, usually an A. For instance, the feminine of pintor is pintura. These two forms can be joined together through a slash, pintor-A. Proponents of gender-neutral language assert that this composed form should be used when the sex of the person referred to is unknown or when a description fits both sexes. Traditionally, speakers of these languages employ the masculine form in this sense, even when the description is also suitable for a woman. Although parentheses are longer and less specific than a slash, they are the preferred punctuation marks in Portuguese, so painter is usually written as pinta, A. Prominent Portuguese grammar references don't mention any use of the slash, but at least one proposal of gender-inclusive Portuguese does incorporate the sign. According to Portuguese with inclusion of gender, a slash should be used instead of parentheses. Slashes should not be used when an @ sign or an AE ligature are more appropriate. Alternative names, diagonal, /, stroke, fraction bar or just bar, oblique, over when the symbol is used to indicate division, per when used to indicate prices, right-leaning stroke, scratch comma, separatrix, slack, slant, slat, slidos, or shilling mark, stroke. In British English this is often used when reading the character aloud, although this term is also used to mean any single mark or dash in general. It is common to hear someone say this stroke that, whereas a North American speaker is more likely to say this / that. However, the term slash is usually used in the UK when reading computer path names. Stroke is also commonly used among the North American amateur radio community, uphill slash, virgule, virgula suspensiva, whack. Some speakers use this term only for the backslash. References. External links, Klein, Samuel John. Typography words of the day, slashes. Designerati, March 3, 2006. Retrieved from designerati.com, Gender-inclusive use of slash in Portuguese, 2, A língua e o sexo, quartos I, 2 and 3, one of the subjects of Controversial Numbers project.